pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Maxwell Harrison.
T.J. Sanders, defensive tackles, Landon Jackson, defensive end.
Deion Walker, defensive tackle, Kentucky.
Sounds like 2018 all over with you guys. You guys were in 2018 about Josh Allen. You guys wanted Josh Rosen, and now you guys are that we don't have a receiver. You just saw us do it without Stephon Diggs.
I do kind of wish they added speed.
We like our receivers. We feel strong about our receivers.
Tell them how you really feel, Brandon Beane.
Where do we need to get better? Defense. We did that. So I get it. You got to have a show, and you got to have something to think about. But about wide receiver is one of the dumbest arguments I've heard.
In that one, right? Obviously, that's Brandon Beane on Monday about all the criticism he received for the Bills not drafting a receiver. Yesterday, though, they did sign Elijah Moore to a one-year deal worth up to $5 million. Josh Allen, he's got to be the best quarterback that Moore's played with, so it'll be interesting to see what Moore does there. Okay, let's go to our former GM first. What did you think of the way he addressed the situation, Brandon Beane?
You know, Hannah, it's really hard to relate to this. GM getting criticized.
Yeah, I know. Never happens, does it?
I can't relate to this at all. You know, look, you got to ask question after question about your vulnerability, what's ever perceived to be. And I think Brandon's like, you know what? We got a really good team. Do your homework. Ask me something different. I'm sure he was exhausted. He's a great guy. He's very confident. He has a lot to be proud of. So I think it was probably the wrong question on the wrong day.
Well, keeping receipts, though, to go all the way back to
did.
the Josh Rosen criticism.
Yes,
Mina, we saw you there. It was great that you were featured in that little piece. They did go defense with their first 5 picks. So, I mean, what's your assessment of that draft in terms of their offense?
I think it makes sense that the draft was focused on defense. I'll start there. This offense was second league-wide in DVOA last year. The defense was 11th, which is still really good, obviously, but I do think there was a need to add talent, particularly on the defensive line and at cornerback, which is exactly what they did in the draft. And to go back to the offense and why they were so good last year, it's an offense that's really built inside out. The strength of the offense, outside of course Josh Allen, is the offensive line. They have a dominant run game. They have a lot of really good receivers, a lot of similar receivers, slot receivers, and I think they're betting on development from Keon Coleman, who was their first-round draft pick last year. Now, I stand by what I said in that clip. I do wish they had a little bit more speed in this group, but it is an excellent group, and when you got Josh Allen at quarterback, you have a guy who raises the floor of everybody.
And for me, this is under the axiom of like the good teams are the ones that let their opponents beat them before they ever beat themselves. If you look at Josh Allen last year, only 6 interceptions, only sacked 14 times. And sometimes the greatest improvement, and Amina just touched on it a little bit, is when you're returning young players get better. So Keon Coleman's one, but you think about, Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir, they're a little bit older, but I expect them to get better. But this is an offense that, to me, it's well coached. They were third in point differential, which speaks to the fact that they did score points, even though they don't have that explosive element. And then defensively, again, the offseason is a continuum. They signed a couple of players that are going to be suspended. So they sort of doubled down, and I thought that was really smart. And if you have to pick up a receiver like Elijah Moore, like you mentioned, Hannah, you can do that later on in the offseason. So I'm not going to disagree with Brandon Beane. I don't want to get yelled at.
Obviously. Mina?
I'm glad you mentioned Dalton Kincaid, because when I talked about development, I focused on Coleman. But, Mike, you're absolutely right. Like, that's a player who I just feel like still – his ceiling is a lot higher than what we have seen from him in the NFL. You've seen flashes of it, why they took him in the first round. I mean, he, to me, when we talk about guys who can really threaten vertically and make this offense more explosive, that's the kind of tight end he was in college. He is a seam stretcher. He's got wonderful hands downfield, but he hasn't become as dominant as I think his draft status and his potential, the tape suggests he could be. I mean, I thought this Bills offense would be living in 12 personnel with him and Knox, but they haven't quite hit that, and that's something I would look for this year. If Kincaid can hit another level, then I think we won't be complaining about the receiving group.
Yeah, 6 of their 9 picks were on the defensive side. No offense until they take another tight end in round 5. All right, time to get you caught up on some of the best things we heard this week. Cardinals.
Receiver left, throw, touchdown, Patriots, and Drake May.
The size and physical ability is clear. His ability to move is remarkable for a guy that's his size. I think Drake May is the best quarterback in this class.
It's crazy because when you ask around, he has a lot of similarities. People say through the grapevine he acts a lot like Josh.
That's a step back delay. He's in the pocket. He runs back. He throws a long ball down on the right side. There's some separation. Touchdown! jayden.
Hi, everybody. It is the first day of May, and it's May Day, as in Drake May. As we welcome you to NFL Live, I'm Hannah Storm alongside Mike Tannenbaum, and Mina Kimes is joining us as well. So on to New England and Drake May. They were very, very busy in the offseason. Drake May commenting on all the new faces there for the Patriots.
I like to hopefully call myself this year a leader, and I think working towards that. I think just earning the guys' respect. A lot of new faces in here. Come in here and work hard, and still those guys that we picked up in free agency, or the rookies, or guys we picked up. Just kind of my work ethic. I think kind of started from that standpoint. So the coaches, I think we kind of found answers in a lot of different spots that hopefully can plug and play. And I think that's what the point of free agency is. I think get guys that come here and help us win now. And I think add that in with some young talent that we've had in the past couple drafts, and I think hopefully we're heading in the right direction. So I think that's what us guys in there are working towards. I'm working towards kind of getting to know each other, connect. Once you get new staff and new players, you want to show them, hey, it's not relaxed time. I think once you're going to be the starter, just keep things pushing forward, and but saying more, and whether in walkthrough or little things like that, just kind of build that and not focus too much on it. Just hopefully it comes natural.
Well, the Patriots made 11 draft picks this year. Each of their first 4 picks coming on the offensive side of the ball. They take LSU's offensive tackle Will Campbell with the 4th overall pick. And on day 2, they got Drake May some more weapons, taking Ohio State running back Travion Henderson and Washington State wideout Kyle Williams. So I start with you, Mina Kimes. They also drafted a kicker and a long snapper, which is so much fun. You would think that Bill Belichick was in the building doing that. What did you think of their draft in terms of supporting May?
Yeah, I don't have any analysis on the kicker or the long snapper, but as far as the rest of the class, particularly the offensive players they took for early on, I absolutely loved what the Patriots did. They went into this draft with, I felt, some pretty glaring needs on offense, and they managed to really address those needs without reaching from a value perspective, starting, of course, with Will Campbell, who they envision as the long-term left tackle of the future who can grow with Drake May. But I want to highlight the next 2 picks because I think what both Travion Henderson and Kyle Williams do is they give this offense big play potential. Henderson was a home run hitter as a back, averaged 7 yards per carry, which is the most of any Power 5 back. And Kyle Williams, out of Washington State, averaged the most yards after catch per reception of any Power 5 receiver. I think he adds a speed element to this group that pairs really nicely with Stephon Diggs and Demario Douglas, who can work the short intermediate parts. So, yeah, I just feel like the Patriots knocked this one out of the park. I think it was a really, really great draft class for them.
Mina, I totally agree, and you focus more on the person. I'll take it up front, and if we think about the offseason as a continuum, it really started in free agency, getting guys like Garrett Bradbury, getting Morgan